This episode of Robservations is sponsored by The John Campea Show. Find The John Campea Show on YouTube or find the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on the John Campea YouTube channel. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it, especially if you love the movies?
Hey, my name is King, or as some of you might know me better, Israel. I've gotten around, but hopefully you recognize me from my own channel, King Tannic. There's a new show coming to the Burnettwork that I think is pretty exciting. Welcome to the Otaku Experience, hosted by yours truly. There is going to be a weekly series where we dive into the news and the world of anime, manga, and whatever the heck else Japan has to offer us. The show will be pre-recorded and premiere on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Time or 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Burnettwork YouTube channel.
Robservations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your sommelier of sci-fi and cinema, your evangelist of the imagination, and of course, the as-yet undefined existential Mr. Rogers. That's right, me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I'm robcasting at you imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community. And let me tell you, it's the beginning of my birthday weekend. That's right, it's the beginning of my birthday weekend, which really my birthday's on Monday, but you know, that's a weekend. It's a 4-day birthday weekend. I can celebrate it that way if I want. And I'm going to take you back because obviously you all know during CinemaCon, maybe don't, but the Popcast guys, they hosted a screening of my film Free Enterprise, which celebrates 25 years. It debuted in October 25 years ago. A lot of people didn't know I made Free Enterprise, and I got asked with a couple of letters to what was Free Enterprise. They looked at the trailer, and let me play a clip from Free Enterprise first right now so people know it's actually a real thing, and I'll tell you something about it afterwards.
Listen, when I'm with a woman, I know that I'm gonna climax. I mean, it's not even an issue. You know, all guys come. I'm more interested in participating in my partner's orgasm. You know, women become very, very spiritual before orgasms.
Oh my God.
Besides, as I was led to believe, ladies first.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Right, that's exactly what they say. I don't believe it. It's Bill.
Okay, just be cool. Don't stare. You'll go blind.
And he's perusing porno. All right. I gotta go over there and talk to him, man.
What do you... No. All around the world, from as far off as the Caspian Sea, people have been running up to Bill and acting like idiots. Why must you be one of them?
Because now it's my turn. I mean, don't you want to go over there and talk to him and see what he's like? I mean, William Shatner made us who we are today.
Would you want to insult the man? Just respect his space.
I do respect his space. It's the final frontier.
Okay, just be dignified, you know? Don't do anything stupid.
All right.
Calm, cool, and collected. Don't make a big scene. Oh, good. I've been looking for Mein Kampf.
Sir, Mr. Shatner, I would like to say that I think you are the greatest American actor ever.
I'm a Canadian.
Well, then, may I just say that you are the greatest Canadian actor ever.
There aren't that many of them.
Well, if I may, sir, just say that I have a tremendous amount of respect for your work as a writer, a director, a thespian, and an entrepreneur. Listen, we don't want an autograph or anything like that. I was just wondering, what brings you here?
I'm trying to find something to read.
You buy books?
Otherwise, it'd be shoplifting.
Listen, I'm sorry. We don't want. We're not. We were just wondering if we could buy you a drink or something. I mean, we're not the usual kooky fans.
No. Right.
We can... We couldn't help but sense that there's something wrong. Are you perturbed about something?
Yes, I am. If it'll, stop you from following me around, I'm having trouble with the story I'm writing, okay?
I sense that. That's the worst. I get the same thing myself.
Are you a writer?
Yes, actually.
No, are you really? Is that block the worst thing?
Absolutely. We discuss it all the time.
Can't do anything.
We're actually
was
both
talking about it.
industry professionals.
Yeah, I work
you
over
really?
at Full Eclipse.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a higher up, a big muckety-muck?
Well, I mean, I just directed a little thing is called Beach Babe Bimbo.
I know.
Yes.
It's funny. I was over there this morning pitching my latest opus, Brady Killer, and looks like it's going to be a go, probably.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. That's great. I've got an idea, you know.
Well, that's a little taste of free enterprise for my birthday. You know, why not be self-aggrandizing? If you can't be self-aggrandizing on your birthday weekend, when can you be self-aggrandizing? I'm going to have a free enterprise watch party in a couple weeks, and I will be taking reservations. It doesn't cost anything. It's going to be totally free. But I just want everybody to know I'm going to have a sign-up sheet, and it's going to be loads of fun. And I look forward to having you there, and we'll do a Q&A after. It was a lot of fun. We did that and in Vegas, and I figured I'd do it again because people are asking. So check that out. Now, I have a very special guest. He's been on the show before. He is a wizard. If you have comic books and you want them restored, I mean, he's had ringing endorsements from around the world. I love this guy. He's Canadian, so you know he is a great business person, and he's scrupulously honest because everybody on America's hat is scrupulously honest. And, you know, what can we say? Please welcome Kelvin, the comic doctor. Kelvin,
hey,
welcome.
Rob.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well, aside from the fact that I've just blocked myself with your lovely shot, which I will.
It's okay. It's never easy for me to come on your show. Every time I've been on here, we've had glitches.
No. There's no glitches. This is purely my error. You know, I was so grateful to have you on the show. There we go. See, it's all alleviated. It's all done. First of all, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Very busy, but doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Now, you're not only are you the comic doctor, but you're an educator as well, aren't you?
Yes. I'm a high school teacher actually up here in
America's
Whitby,
hat.
Ontario. That's right.
No, in Ontario, and you're also the comic doctor. So,
yep.
Do you ever push your services on your students? Like, hey, you got any of those comic books you need pressed and cleaned?
I often ask, and anybody's parents have collections sitting around they don't want, give me a call. You never know. I'll appraise them for you free of charge.
And you collect figures and cars and all kinds of things, right?
Yeah. One day I'm gonna have a much better display than my presses. 'Cause I got this is my home. I have two locations. This is my home workshop, and I also have another workshop. Like an actual brick and mortar shop as well. So, but I used to have all my toys and collectibles and comics on display, but they're in storage right now.
You gotta work, man. You gotta work.
I know.
Now, it seems like 5 years ago, slabbing comics was kind of a very, very much a collector issue, but now everyone's dealing in slabbed books, aren't they?
Yeah, well, COVID kind of everyone dug out their old collections, and I can speak for myself, and I can speak for actually many other pressers too. All of a sudden, our workload tripled, quadrupled. It was crazy. Our turnaround times went from like a month or two to 9 months. It was madness, and yeah.
Now, for those who don't know what the hell we're talking about, could you give us an overview of what do you actually do to a comic book?
It's funny, people can't believe this is an actual thing, actually. So what I do is I actually press and clean comic books. So I'll take an old comic book, say from the 1960s or the 1970s, and I'll look it over, and using a variety of erasers or tools, I'll clean the comic book, dry clean them. We call it dry cleaning, and then from there we humidify the book and press the book in dry mount presses.
They have vacuum presses.
No, not vacuum. They're mechanical presses. The one behind me here is huge mechanical press. It's like they're actually used for lamination, but they work fantastic for pressing comic books. A lot of people use those t-shirt presses. I don't think they work all that great, but some people have good results with those. But I like the actual dry mount presses. They work really, really well. And you can take a book from a very low grade, not all the time, but a very low grade up to a very high grade, depending on the defects the book might have. I've seen books go from, like, say, a 7 or a 7.5 up to a 9.6, 9.8 sometimes.
Now, the highest a book could go would be theoretically 10, right?
Yeah, 10.
But you never see 10s.
Not on older books, generally. You might see a 9.9 on an older book. I've only ever... Well, that's not true. A few months ago, I got a few 9.9s returned, but they were all modern, like really modern books, recent books. The oldest book I received in a 9.9 was an X-Men 266, which was the first appearance of Gambit.
I know that because the clip I just showed of Free Enterprise.
Oh, that's
a character. There's a meet cute over an issue of X-Men 266 in our movie.
Oh, there you go. Right.
So there you go. Yeah. By the way, I did not prep you to say that. That's totally coincidental.
Not. No, but that person who got the 9.9 was quite happy because.
So wait, but let's go back. Like, what do you mean a 9.9 or a 9.8? Who decides that?
There are a few companies out there, third-party grading companies, that you send the books to, and then they will, in turn, take the book and they'll actually slab it. You mentioned the term slabbing it, and this is it. They slab the book. They put it inside of, acrylic. So the book
a really hard plastic, hard acrylic cover.
And they then assign a grade, and that the third-party company assigning the grade. So this book here is, in their opinion, a 9.2, and that basically not only tells the owner of this book what grade it is, but then they can do a little bit of research and find out how much it is worth. And that's
the higher the grade, the better the comic, the more the comic's worth. And so if someone has finds a key, the key books are what are known in various runs. If something important happens, that's a key book in that run. So if you have a key in the run and you want it to be in the best condition it can be, if you're investing, you can send it to you and hopefully take a book up to a higher grade and make a lot more money off of it.
That's the whole point, because it's not an inexpensive endeavor to do slabbing anymore. In fact, this company here is called CGC. They're pretty much the Coca-Cola company. They're the one everyone, it's the industry standard, as it were. The prices are going up. I mean, it's not cheap to get a book. This is a modern book right here. This book, to slab this book right now, I charge $50 Canadian just for the slabbing part. Doesn't include shipping, doesn't include anything. But
does that include cleaning too?
No, that's another fee on itself. So you really have to, guys will come by the shop and drop off books and say, I want to do all these books. I'm like, we need to talk and, really determine whether or not the books are worth having, the work done to them. Sometimes it's not in your best interest to do the cleaning, the pressing, and the grading, because it's just not worth it if the value's not there. So, but I help people with that when they ask.
Well, that's interesting that you showed that book.
Oh, yes. Well, I contacted you a few weeks ago. I said, because I know during COVID, you and I gave out a few books.
We gave out some books. That was and you were, unlike me, when I give away something away, you who knows when I'll send it to you. But
no, I get it out within a week, within a few days.
Well, and that is, that's very cool. So are you going to give that book away?
today, one of your viewers is at the PGS is going to be getting this copy of Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Now, this is I picked this one up off actually one of my workers, I guess you could say. I said, "Do you have any Guardians of the Galaxy books?" He goes, "Yeah, I have one. It would be good for a giveaway in celebration of perhaps the last decent MCU movie."
Oh, come now. Hope springs eternal.
Yeah, I know. I hope so. But this is the first appearance of this modern team right here in this book. So it's kind of it's a nice book to add to your collection. It's a great cover. And so I contacted you, said, "Rob, I know you're not, well, I'm sure you're busy. You're a very busy person. I know you are. But I mean, I figured since you're not traveling every day now doing the other show, you might have some time to do this." And you said you did. So great.
Well, I figured since you've brought this book to give away, we're going to give it away. Yeah. And but we're going to give it away. You have to know the answer to a trivia question.
Okay.
That is Guardians of the Galaxy related, and it is a multi-part question. You have to get all of this question correct. Okay? Since Guardians 3 wraps up the story of, tells the story of Rocket Raccoon, gives us some backstory, I figured, here's what I want to know. When did Rocket Raccoon first appear, the number of the book he appeared in, who he appeared with, and who wrote and drew the comic? So,
tough one.
First appearance of Rocket Raccoon. Everyone's on there. Google. Who did he appear with? In which issue? And who wrote and who drew the book?
Now, Rob, that could go two ways, that answer, right? I think. I don't know which one you're leaning towards.
I don't know. This is the official Marvel debut.
Okay. Then it's got to be what I'm thinking. And it's okay. Let's see what happens.
I'm waiting to see in the live chat. Oh, my God. Laugh out loud. Damn, Rob, says Justin Toner. Okay, Justin, I expect you to watch out for this. We'll see if anybody... Look, people, clearly, we don't have many Rocket Raccoon fans on this show because no one has yet answered.
Oh, they're Googling. They're all Googling
They're all Googling it now. Let's see who's going to get it first. I mean, there's only 110 people watching. And we shall see who. I don't see it yet. Ding, 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 ding.
Have you seen the movie yet, Rob?
I have not.
Wow.
I have not. I have not seen it yet. I'm looking. Okay, well, we'll see. We shall see, Justin. If anyone comes up with an answer, that's a bummer. It is a bummer that no one's come up with that. TJ SlabDragon Watson says it better be Marvel preview. Nope. That's what I see. It's not Marvel preview. It's got to be inside the MCU or the Marvel comic universe.
Okay, then I know what it is. All right.
Yeah.
I was leaning that way too.
It's not Marvel preview. No, I said specifically, who does he team up with? Or who's in the book? So it's not Marvel preview, because Marvel preview doesn't really count. It's not a real book.
It's a magazine.
It's a magazine. Right? Yeah.
Is this Satana? That's the Satana issue, right? With the Marvel preview, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. No one's getting this.
Wow, I'm surprised. You guys are not Johnny on the spot with your Google searches. Come on, man. What can we do? Oh, wait. Okay, REG. Let's see what you got. REG. Okay. Yes, but Marvel preview is not what we want. Not what we want. REG's got the book. REG's got the book.
Now we're getting close here.
REG's got the book.
Oh, we should have said, I'd like to mail this within the North America, if possible.
Well,
hopefully we don't have a lot of overseas people here.
TJ SlabDragon. Yes, it does. Annihilation Nova 3. No. Well, you know what? Since no one's getting it, I'll just say maybe we'll ask another question since no one seems to get it. Magazines are not comics. They're magazines. They're magazines. They're not comic books.
Speaking of magazines, you would not believe the current influx of magazines, Sports Illustrated in particular, that have been coming my way. That has become the next,
And I, by the way, I specifically said comic.
Yeah,
not
you did.
magazines.
You did say comic. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. REG, writer Bill Mantlo, penciler Sal Buscema. Yes. Yep. Okay, that's correct. You got it. You got the book. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that.
I think REG got it.
REG got it. REG got it. So, and TJ SlabDragon, you already have this book slabbed. You know you do. I bet you got it as 9.8. TJ SlabDragon has like 3,000 slabbed comics.
Does he really?
I think he was up to like 2,800 last time he said, come on, TJ SlabDragon, how many slab comics do you have? We want to know.
That's a lot of books.
It's a lot of books. I just keep calculating how much in slabbing costs that is.
Yes,
And
yes, and it keeps
cleaning.
going up and up and up.
And it keeps, well, anyway, so Kevin, do you have time to hang out and answer some viewer mail?
Sure, if anybody has any questions, I'd love to talk to anybody who may have a question regarding this.
Yeah, if you have any questions for the comic doctor, and then I've got some, I want to say, TJ SlabDragon says I'm now up to 2,400 CGC slabs.
Wow.
2,400. TJ SlabDragon, that is impressive. I would just love to come flip through your slabs one day. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see what he's got slabbed. How cool.
TJ, do you buy your slabs already ready-made, like ready done, or do you send the books in yourself?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yep.
Paul Stutts just sent me a $50 tip.
Wow.
And he says, thanks for answering my question on the Snyder issues. I remember that was a good letter, Paul. Thank you. And if you want to use the tip feature, you can. The link is down below in the description or the super chat feature. It's just, you know what? Those super chats, Google takes half of them. So what do you do? Does Ari need to contact you or the comic doctor? Ari needs to contact the comic doctor.
That's right.
Kevin, the comic doctor. What is your website, Kevin?
www.comicdoctor.com, or you can just email me directly, Ari, at info@thecomicdoctor.com. And of course, I need your mailing address and actually your phone number as well, too, because now whenever I'm doing shipping labels, they're always like FedEx or UPS are always asking for phone numbers as well.
It's true.
Yes.
So he won the comic. Good job, sir.
Congratulations, Ari. He's all yours.
All yours. So I've got some questions and letters, and of course this is a letter. This is an all-letter show.
Nice.
And let's see. This first letter comes to us from Nathan K., who says, I've been doing shows, Kevin, about artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And this letter, the subject headline is Artificial Intelligence Can't Make the McManus Brothers. Hi, Rob. I enjoyed your interview with screenwriter Rick Cleveland the other day. During your conversation, Rick brought up 2 points regarding the writer's strike that I thought were great, and I wanted to write a letter about. I'm only doing one topic today, and the other topic will be for another letter. The first issue he brought up was the fact that AI writers, while they could possibly piece together a coherent story, they lack the ability to create something that could emotionally resonate with audiences. When he brought this up, it made me think about one of my favorite movies, Boondock Saints. As you probably know, the film's about 2 Irish Catholic brothers living in Boston that one day decide to turn vigilante and begin killing criminals, specifically the Russian mob. While this basic premise has been done in other films and TV shows, what makes this movie unique is our protagonists do what they do out of a sense of divine inspiration, in that they believe God has called upon them to rid the world of evil men. This detail not only makes this movie unique, but it opens the door for serious moral and philosophical debate over the events of the film. A little about myself. I was born and raised in a religious Catholic family. I've been religious my whole life, and while I'm not a practicing Catholic today, I still consider myself religious. Do you do like what Mark Wahlberg says and get prayed up? The fact that this movie leans into the religious theme made this movie connect with me on a deep level. And it has caused me to contemplate the moral quandary posed by this film, which is, regarding the actions of the McManus brothers, are they right or are they wrong? Since Catholicism has the 10 Commandments, they believe thou shalt not kill, and so do I. However, when you add the fact that they are killing evil men, the question suddenly becomes complicated. All of this is exemplified during the end credits when you have reporters going around to people on the streets, literally asking them this question, and the people give the full range of answers. So the reason I talk about all of this is director Troy Duffy made a movie that posed a power moral question that I've been thinking about since I first saw this movie, and I will continue to think about until the day I die. I don't believe that artificial intelligence could possibly make something like this. Sure, they could create a lot of action sequences, a coherent story, and maybe even give us that scene with the cat, if you know, you know, but it couldn't possibly understand what it would take to make a film with themes that emotionally resonate with people, let alone something that would stay with them long after the movie's over. Those are my thoughts on the matter, Rob. Thank you for hearing me out. Yours truly, Nathan K. Well, Nathan, let me say, first of all, what a great letter. This is exactly the reason why I love the Post-Geek Singularity as a community and all of you imagination connoisseurs out there, because these letters are what I live for. And I think Nathan really asks a good question. Now, here's the thing, Nathan. I think you're right that now AI probably couldn't give us a story like that. However, what's going to happen is, as AI learns more and more, and as these chatbots, or call them what you will, evolve and they get smarter, they're going to be able to think in terms of, like, if you want to tell a story that has religious and moral implications, what they do is they only can scrape away previously existing ideas. So they're going to be able to get more in depth, and they're going to have more. I always call movies or stories three-dimensional. And what I mean by that is a three-dimensional story takes what's on a flat page, and from an intellectual and imaginative standpoint, it really turns it three-dimensional. So it's looking at what could be a simple story on the page, but it, like you said, it gives ethical, moral, religious, emotional resonance on many, many different levels. And as these AI devices get more and more experienced, they're going to scrape those ideas. They're going to be able to make more three-dimensional stories. They might not know why, the whys of it all, but they're going to understand how those stories are developed. How does a story that has that kind of moral and religious implications, how is that created? Because what it'll do is it'll look at a movie like the Boondock Saints. It'll scrape those ideas from that story and incorporate them into another kind of a story. Like Alex de la Iglesia's Day of the Beast. It might steal things from Kevin Smith's Dogma, or The Bad Lieutenant, or what have you. I don't know, Kevin, let me ask you this. What do you think about our coming AI overlords, and does it bother you? Do you think one day the teaching profession is going to be overshadowed by AI teachers?
AI is a big problem, actually. All the buzz right now is, the chat bots or chat AIs and all that, and kids handing in essays and papers produced by these websites and apps, and it's a problem. It's a big problem in the education field, anyway, in high school. I'm sure in universities as well. I think there's going to be a departure from the written word, and again, more onus we put on oral skills and presentations and things like that. In fact, in my own classes right now, I tend to lean more away, or kind of shifting away from the written paper and having the kids get up and talk and discuss their findings.
That's really interesting.
Right? Because otherwise, and it's a plagiarizing. Sure, it's plagiar. Well, when they're taking someone else's ideas or an AI's ideas, even if they're editing them somewhat, it's still not their own, idea. So,
well, and also, I mean, I would think that making oral reports would be, it shows that you have cognitive reasoning skills. It has, exactly. You have communication skills. I think that is a great way to combat all this, because it proves whether or not people can, whether they first grasp the ideas, and if they have critical acumen going on in their their heads. I think that's a great, I mean, you know, in a way, maybe that's even better for education because now, like, you know, if you're discussing geography, you make somebody, you know, when I was in college, before I was at USC, I went to a school called the Evergreen State College in Washington State. It was a state college, but it was born out of the Summer of Love, the 1967. It was founded, very hippy dippy. I called it a crunchy, chewy granola school because everybody smelled of patchouli. And in the mid 80s, the biggest student organization was the LGBTQ. There was a lesbian gay student alliance, I think, and they threw the best parties, and everybody went. That's why what I see happening now with LGBTQ issues, I'm like, wasn't this settled in the 80s? You know, well, it was at Evergreen, but and at Evergreen you had to do what were called seminars, and you had to do that very thing. Like you would read a book, and then you'd go into a room with 15 students and the professor, and you'd seminar about the book for 4 hours, where all you did was discuss the book, and we didn't have grades, we had evaluations, and it was all based on class participation, and you needed to know that reading. You know, you couldn't read it the night before. You had to really contemplate what was read, and you really had to have organized your thoughts and thought about it. So when you came into class, you came to play, and you really knew your stuff, and it was very apparent, and it was painful to be in a class with someone who hadn't done the work.
I was a good writer. I still am a good writer, but I mean, in terms of writing essays, creative writing, not so much, but writing papers and what have you, I had no problem. But I always loved the debates in class. And when I studied visual arts, our instructors would have us put the pieces up around the room, and we just kind of peruse each other's work, and then we'd go at it. And we just, defend our work, attack other people's. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I love that. So this is kind of forcing kids nowadays to kind of get back to that oral discourse. It's a good thing. I don't know what else is going to happen. I mean, and a totally other, we're talking about grading and slabbing. I have a feeling that's where it's going to go too. I think AI is going to start grading books, for example, get rid of the human factor. And the more books they grade, the more accurate it's going to get. And I've been hearing a lot of, mumbling about that someone's trying to develop a computer or some kind of system that can grade comic books or baseball cards or hockey cards or whatever, right? So there's no escaping it. Those overlords are coming, Rob.
No, they are. And I mean, it's unfortunately, we need very smart, very educated people to help us make it through the 21st century. And I've often added to with what's going on now with everything that AI is going to do, real authenticity and being able to present yourself in an authentic way. Maybe it's time to go back to those oral traditions. Maybe it's time to go back where, I think it's incredibly important how to read, but if you know how to collect your thoughts and you know how to speak well in a group situation, it's probably a good bet you know how to write well too. You
usually just, my son's in grade 7 right now, and I just see some of the things that I'm not going to get into it here because it's a very big, you know what I'm talking about. So it gets kind of crazy, and meanwhile he can't read cursive. Like, if someone writes in cursive, he looks at it and he's like, what's this? They just don't teach that anymore. Cursive writing or he can't even do a signature. He doesn't know how. They don't do that. So I don't know.
That's so strange.
It is.
Well, and it's funny, I don't, now with computers, I don't ever really write in cursive anymore anyway, but still, I know how to do it. And again, whenever you learn something like that, it's audio visual, or it's hand-eye coordination. It's always helpful to have something like that. But now let me ask you this. Now to address Nathan's real question. He's asking about, one hand it was AI, but then he's asking about Boondock Saints. If the moral issue, if you're Catholic, you're religious, do you think that there could ever be a time when, and you believe in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, but if you're killing evil men, and I think that this is the focus of a lot of stories, like, some men need killing. Clint Eastwood might have said that. Or do they? Is there any time when taking a human life is justified?
Well, I think even going back to what you said, back to that chat AI, the more detailed information you give it, it'll produce a story with that information you provide.
Right.
I've tested it a few times. I've been very specific. I said, tell a story about comic book pressing up in Toronto, Ontario. And I was and then all of a sudden it gave me I said, make it a 600 or 700 word short. And all of a sudden, boop, out it comes. And it looks for all that information. So I think, as you were saying earlier, the more it learns, about movies that came beforehand, scripts or screenplays that came beforehand, it's garnering that knowledge and, building it. And so when you ask it to create something, it can take all that into consideration. I would think that's where they're heading with it. It's a scary thought, really, but but it's still not a human being on there. I mean, I don't know. Can an AI, paint a portrait or do actually they can't they? I've seen those. Yeah, I mean,
they can't paint it. They can, but eventually you'll be able to hook up an AI to some mechanical device as an arm, and it will be able to paint. I mean, I wonder if it'll know how to do the brush strokes. I mean, it has to go a lot farther.
I keep thinking about Data. As you're talking about this, I'm thinking about Data, right? And him trying to be more and more human as the show progressed.
Oh yeah,
right? And that's what he was yearning for it and wanting it. And
well, I've got ChatGPT open right now.
Yeah.
And this is the question: if you are a devout Catholic, is there any instance when killing an evil person is justified? And I'm going to see what it says.
Oh, geez.
As a language model, it is not my role to take a position on religious or moral beliefs. However, as a matter of Catholic doctrine, the Church teaches that killing another person is morally unacceptable in most circumstances, and that all human life is sacred and should be protected. The Church recognizes that there may be instances where the use of force is necessary to protect innocent human life, such as in self-defense or in the defense of others. This is known as the principle of double effect, which states that an action that has both good and evil effects may be morally acceptable if the good effect is intended and outweighs the evil effect. However, the Church also teaches that the use of force must always be proportional to the threat faced, and that every effort should be made to avoid taking human life, even in self-defense. Therefore, while the Church recognizes the possibility of using force to defend oneself or others, it does not condone the intentional killing of an evil person as a means of justice or retribution. Ultimately, the Church's teachings emphasize the value of mercy, forgiveness, and the possibility of redemption, even for the most heinous of sins. Well, there you go. ChatGPT weighing in.
And it responded in how long?
In seconds. I mean,
second.
And gave you, that's a question I couldn't have written a better response in class, which is why it's going to be hard for teachers to accept any written answer for anything ever.
Again.
Ever again.
Right.
I mean, how do you do that? And I don't mean to be glib or anything, but it's true.
Now, I'm sure you know this. I mean, teachers now, there is software that you have to submit your work through, and it will check your work for plagiarism, right? Or for online, for copying from other sites and what have you, right? So English teachers all over the world have access to these types of these tools to kind of, find those students who use these services. But there's always going to be ways around it.
Yep.
There always is, right? And yeah.
Well, how long would it take you to rewrite something in your own words?
Like that?
Yeah.
It'd probably take me to sit there and rework that, probably another 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Right? That was pretty, as you're sitting there, I'm going, yeah, that's pretty good. It's
pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's my problem with all of it. When you have something like that, and kids today, they're not, I think that critical thinking and really contemplating your own belief system. I think right now, I mean, I see it all the time online. People they come to believe something as an absolute, and they're like, this is bad, you're this way, you're that way. Like, I had a conversation and I was being kind of funny, but I made a comment about how that when people are in relationships, or even when they're not, when we get dressed up, we look good. A woman puts on a dress or a guy puts on a tux, and you go out into the world, that you want people. The whole point of looking good is you want other people to notice. Some people say, oh no, I just do it for myself. Well, if you're just doing it for yourself and you're going to a party and you put on a beautiful dress, you want people to notice you. And I had made the comment that even in a relationship, when you're in a relationship with somebody, when your significant other gets dressed up, they want you to objectify them in the sense that they want you to look at them and find them beautiful or find them exciting or be aroused by you. That's kind of the point. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't respect that person. But in certain instances, you're doing something with the express purpose of objectifying yourself because you're making yourself beautiful by the standards of what culture is. Now, I had made that, and then I'd made this comment, and of course somebody says, oh, you're a misogynist. You just think that all women want to be objectified. And I'm like, well, that's a very simplistic reading of what I'd said. But that's what happens now, because a lot of people don't have critical reasoning skills, and they hear one thing that I said that, yes, women want to be objectified. And then they get mad at me, and then suddenly, Rob Burnett's a misogynist. I'm like, well, I think the same is true of a man putting on a tux. When you get all gussied up and you go to the Oscars, you want to look fucking good. Mm-hmm. And anyway, it's a very interesting time we live in, and I'm going to be curious to see where we go with it. We'll see.
Me too.
This is a good one. Our friend Calvin Bose, sends this in. I think you're going to like this one, Comic Doctor.
Oh, cool.
The heading is autographs. I just saw the most I don't know if it's disgusting video. Mark Hamill getting smacked in the face by supposed fans trying to get his autograph. Let me start by saying these people are not fans. They're greedy autograph brokers who track the stars. They show up at events with a bunch of stuff, harass the person, then go home and put them online to sell. I myself have collected autographs since childhood. My first was John Wayne when I was 6. I obtained my collection by writing letters to stars and sending them photos to autograph. Over the years, I've gotten autographs from Maureen O'Sullivan, the woman who played Jane in the Tarzan movies, Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger, Raquel Welch, Francis Ford Coppola, and many, many others, either in person or from writing letters. I've also taught my young son Braxton how to do this by getting a photo you want autographed, enclose a self-addressed stamped envelope, send a nice letter, and Braxton got back people like Richard Roundtree, Shaft, Eva Marie Saint from his favorite Hitchcock film North by Northwest, and Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. He also got a lot of Star Wars autographs at the 55-year Mission Convention. But 2 of the letters we wrote to, from Kevin Costner and Kim Basinger, came back with a letter saying most of the things they sign end up online for sale, so they no longer sign autographs. Thank you, you money-grubbing brokers. You spend your days tracking stars, show up with a bunch of stuff to sign, harass them, even hurt them, and turn around and sell it. A true fan does not show up at an event with 20 things. They show up with 1, maybe 2 things, one for a friend. Not to forget, you're even open to sell forgeries, anything, to make a buck. Braxton and I are true fans who enjoy when we get a photo back, signed. Now, more and more stars are refusing to sign autographs and hurt children like Braxton because of you brokers. I do not mind paying a star for their autograph. At least I know it's real. But I have a real problem with these money-grubbing brokers who get an autograph only to sell. I wish they would all go away and let real fans get autographs the old-fashioned way. So I will say the only way to stop these guys and make it better for fans is to refuse to buy from them and get your autographs the way I got mine over the years. What do you think, Kevin? What do you think about autographs?
I've never been a fan of autographs. The only time now I am a little bit because my kids get a real kick going to the fan expo. I got a picture over there with with Stan Lee, my wife, and my son and daughter, and my kids were so excited to be standing next to Stan Lee, and to see their joy and excitement at being there. It's a lot of fun. And last year, I think at Fan Expo, we met I don't know the guy's name. The guy from Stranger Things, the cool dude, the rock and roll guy. I forget the actor's name. Played Munson, I think.
Yeah.
They were so so excited. So I like that sort of thing, but I've never been a fan of. I never hunted down autographs necessarily. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the scalpers, right? You want to go see a hockey game, take your kid to go see a hockey game or a sporting event, and it's through the roof. And so the real fans don't get access to it because it's too much money, right? And then again, these guys selling autographs on eBay or wherever, they're charging crazy money for it. It's not fair for the real fan who wants it for their collection or whatever. I don't know what to tell you. It's I personally never hunted down autographs. How about you? Did you go hunting down autographs?
I collected authors' autographs.
Okay.
Some of my favorite. I used to have a big collection. I had a storage locker mishap, where my collection of first edition dark fantasy hardcovers were all disappeared. And one of those storage wars kind of things. It was a dark period in my life. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know it was going to happen. It was an accidental thing. And it was really heartbreaking for me because I lost about $100,000 worth of stuff that I collected, and it was bad. But my book collection was the thing that hurt the most because I had autographs, and whenever I got autographs from books, I would have the author personalize it. Like, it was never just to sign it so I could sell it later.
No,
it was
to Rob.
Me. Yeah, it was to Rob, and so I have I had a lot of, like, Anne Rice, who's no longer with us. I could never get another Anne Rice autograph. I had my first edition. She signed my first edition hardcover of, like, Interview with a Vampire and Vampire Lestat.
Oh.
And the thing was, for those autographs, I actually went places, and I had Ray Bradbury's autograph, and a lot of things I could never get again. There's been other times in my life, like there was one autograph that it was funny. I've told the story before on the show, but when I was working on the Lord of the Rings. When I was working on Fellowship of the Ring, the extended versions of Fellowship of the Ring, doing the documentaries, our team, everybody was kind of scared to go meet Christopher Lee. So my boss, Michael Pellerin's like, well, you should go. You're not scared. And I was like, of course not. Why would, no. So I flew to London, and we rented a suite at the Dorchester Hotel, set up there, and we had Mr. Lee come in, and I interviewed him for 5 hours.
Oh, I think I heard this story. Yeah.
And now I knew he didn't like to. I'd heard he didn't like to sign Dracula posters I think maybe he thought it was low rent. I don't know, but when I was at the Cannes Film Festival, we took Free Enterprise to the Cannes Film Festival. It wasn't in the festival, but it was at the market. And when we were leaving Cannes, we found there was a guy selling foreign movie posters, real movie posters on the street. And Mark and I missed our plane as we were rifling through posters, and I bought a French Dracula Prince of Darkness poster. And so I brought that with me to England. And since the conversation went so well, I took the poster out, and I said, Mr. Lee, and I explained to him, I told him the story. I said, I was in Cannes, and I found this poster, and I collect foreign posters and everything, and I sort of unfurled it, and he looked at it, and he said, this would be worth more if it was in English. And I thought that was pretty funny because it was, I thought it was cool as French. And he said, I suppose you just want me to sign my name. And I said, oh, no. I want you to sign it to me, to Rob, whatever. I think it says to Rob, my best, Christopher Lee. And I had it mounted and framed, and it's hanging up in our media room.
Oh, beautiful.
And to me, that if an autograph means something to you, and if you want to meet a celebrity, and they know, because I think an autograph is an artifact of a personal interaction that you have with somebody that has mattered to you, or the work mattered to you. And if an autograph is a memento of that meeting, and I think in that case, and the celebrity knows, they can feel it too. So I think the idea of turning autographs into a business, I understand that, but the way that I've seen it a lot in LA, the way autograph hounds work is really, I find it really distasteful.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny to circumvent that. A friend of mine had an original Batman poster from '66, I think it was, right? And had everyone sign it. And he was down to Adam West, and he met Adam West in Toronto, and he went there. Everybody just signed their names. He wouldn't. He goes, "What's your name?" And he's like, he didn't want to tell him his name, and he personalized it. He was the only one that was personalized for that reason.
That's hysterical.
Yeah,
because they know.
He still has it. But
that's great.
It was a pretty funny story. He was really upset, but whatever.
Brando sends in a super chat and says, "Love the channel. Very fond memories of watching Next Generation with my grandfather. Picard season 3 blew me away, and it brought me to this channel. Thank you for your coverage and news." Brando, you know what? That means a lot to me because I really I liked hearing that. And as people know, we did the Kurlan Neskos after shows. We did one yesterday where we had production designer Dave Blass. We interviewed a number of the writers for Picard season 3. We had Todd Stashwick, who played Liam Shaw on the channel, and of course Terry Metalis, who was the showrunner on the channel. So that means a lot. I'm glad that you discovered the channel because of the after shows. So thanks for being here and thanks for supporting the channel. And SmokeyVandross asks an interesting question, sends in a super chat. This one for you, Kevin. Happy birthday, happy Burnett Day, and also, have you seen the graded video games and movies? And what is your take on graded video games and movies, Kevin?
It's happening. Everything that's pop culture that we once loved as young people is now up for grabs. I mean, it's up for this. Video games are absolutely huge right now. My son, I'm a comic doctor. He says, I want to be the video game doctor. He wants to start getting video games and cleaning and fixing them all up and sending them out for grading as well too. It's just where it's going. And actually old VHS movies as well. And you know what? There's lots out there. I've been picking them up here and there for a song. If you have sealed VHS cassettes of, sci-fi, fantasy, horror films are probably the ones people really want.
Right.
And you have, those are the ones you want to get graded. Go on eBay and have a look. They're going for a good amount of money. And so CGC, the company I told you about that does does the comics, they also do video games now. They also do, I believe they're going to be branching into the VHS very soon if they haven't already. And of course they do sports cards and, Pokemon cards, another thing. I can't believe how much, and I know nothing about Pokemon cards, but I cannot believe the value on some of these cards are. It's crazy. There's a followings out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, a lot of VHS boxes, those oversized, like Wizard video boxes, they had these great lurid covers and artwork that never appeared anywhere else. And, I totally understand that. And there's a lot of people that didn't live through. I mean, I'm sure one of the things that really bothers me is, on one hand, there's a guy named Grady Hendrix who wrote a book called Paperbacks from Hell. And he was talking about all these horror novels from the late 60s, 70s, and the 80s. And I've got right behind me on this shelf, I have a lot of those books. And I was a huge fan. And I used to go to a bookstore called the Iliad Bookstore here in LA. And they always had these old paperbacks, and you could buy them whenever you wanted. Like if I wanted to go and find, a Graham Masterton horror novel from the early 80s, they always had them. Well, after Paperbacks from Hell was published, and it was a retrospective and showed these covers, all of these books became hugely collectible. And the funny thing about that was that single book created a market because most people weren't paying any attention, and even horror fans, who weren't big readers, if you didn't grow up with horror novels, but that book created a marketplace. And now people just like the covers. They didn't even necessarily read the books, but the covers were so great because some of them were so gross, or they're just great artifacts. And then people are now, I guess you can get those books slabbed too if you want.
I don't know. I don't think CGC does it, but I wouldn't be surprised if another company hasn't picked that up yet. It's just everything pop culture, everything that that has inspired what we love here on your channel is hot. And I mean, it's like the stock market; it goes up and down. Interest, like right now, comics. I was telling you last time we talked. I mean, you were wanting to get your comics pressed and clean and graded. You have a lot of the same books I do, and mine are sitting in storage. Probably yours are still too. and I didn't take advantage of the huge spike that happened about 10 months ago.
Right.
And it's all gone down like 40% since then, right? It's the way it goes, up and down and up and down. But
yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I sort of don't even care because, you know, I really got into comics in the 80s, and there's some key books and everything like that. But what I was stupid because when I started really collecting comics in the early 80s, I was really interested in contemporary books, you know, what was coming out now. And I should have gone back and I could have gone back to X-Men 1, or I could have gone back to Justice League 1 or Daredevil 1. And it was doable. I just wasn't motivated because I like the modern, what got me into, the reason I started reading comic books again was I had a paper route, and there was a kid on my paper route named Robbie Cullen. And I rode my bike up to his front door, and he was sitting on his front door stoop, and he was reading Camelot 3000 number 4. That was written by Mike Barr, and the artwork was by Brian Boland. And I was like, what is that? And the artwork was, I mean, Brian Boland, it was incredible. And I'm like, what is this? And it was on the heavy Baxter paper, the very white Baxter paper. And I'm like, this is fucking incredible. And so that's what made me go to the comic book store, and I didn't know anything about the direct market. And when I went there, it was so funny. I'm like, I'm only going to buy like I'm only going to buy like off-brand comics, like Twisted Tales and Alien Worlds and stuff like that. Or I remember Frank Miller's Ronin was coming out at the same time, so it was like 82. I'm only going to buy that. And then I remember like the first Baxter issue of Teen Titans and Legion of Superheroes came out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, because the Baxter paper, everything was so, and I'm like, oh, I'll buy those too. And then, you know, cut to a year later, I'm buying 40 books a week.
Exactly.
You know, and it was insane.
We all have the exact same story. And it's starting all over again. I have guys coming into my shop, and they drop down their short box. Oh, these are my books I found. I'm gonna have you work on them and get them graded. I'm like, before you do this, maybe you want to grab your box and leave, because it's not going to end there, buddy. And they laugh later because they're back 6 months, and they're buying slabs like our friend here who's got 2,500 slabs. I've got customers. It's an addiction.
What I really love about slabs is if you have a room like here, I'm in a garage. There are no windows here, and the great thing about slab books is you can hang them on walls, you know, and they look. Have they started to make UV slabs?
No,
you know, UV cut. Yeah, that would be way too expensive, I would imagine.
You can buy like cover like.
Well, okay, now wait a minute. That's a Fantastic Four #1.
Oh yeah, I got these hanging around all over the place.
Come on, dude. You can't. That's a fucking flex right there. Look at that. Fantastic. You just casually had Fantastic Four
just
#1
beside me. Yeah, I got to work on this one very soon. Actually,
Okay, wait. I got to go full frame on this for you. Let me. I got to add here. Let me add. Okay, now you're full frame. Look at that. Now that's a Fantastic Four #1. Now it's slabbed. What has that been graded at?
It's graded at. Now this is CGC's old label. That's why it's so small. It's at a 2.5. So I will be taking it out of the slab, doing some work to this book, and we're going to hope to get up to a 3 or 3.5. That's what we're aiming for. Probably a 3. Even a half a point jump will increase the value of this.
Yeah, it increase now. Now on something like Fantastic Four 1, you can't. I love that you just had this right next to you. On something like Fantastic Four 1, because they know, like when you read, like how many once you slab a book. Yeah. It also goes in the marketplace. They know how many Fantastic Four 1s have been slabbed.
Yes.
So do you know how many Fantastic Four 1s are in the wild?
I'd have in the wild. Well, who knows? But I'd have to go onto. Yeah. If I go to the CGC website, anybody can do this. By the way, I don't even think you have to have an account. You can go there and type it, and it'll tell you how many 2.5s there are, how many 2s there are, how many 8s there are. There won't be very many 8s. I can tell you right now. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a big book. It's a nice book.
So how long? I mean, that's talk about a key. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a foundational book to the modern Marvel universe. I mean, this is
always a really big book. Even when I was in high school, I remember like like you, I could have went back and bought X-Men 1 and Daredevil 1.
Yeah.
I never did. I was too busy buying like Web of Spider-Man, whatever.
Yeah. It's the first black suit issue. It's the cover, man. It's number one.
So I didn't go back and buy these, but even back then, this was this was one of the most expensive Marvel books you could buy way back in the 80s. It was like a couple $1,000s for a high grade copy, right? So, but it's this one I think it should press out to at least a 3. That's what I'm hoping for, anyways. But and it's a gamble, right? It's a gamble when you do that. When you take it out of here, it could stay the same. It could go down. Probably won't go down. But I'm hoping for that 0.5 bump for this client. But a lot of gamblers out there. A lot of these guys want to try to get get their books upgraded. I had one fella brought me a Hulk 181, a first Wolverine. It was a 9.6. And he wanted me to work on. I said, I am not cracking that out of there. I said, I'm no way. If it goes down, you'll never forgive me. I said, if you want, I can send it to CGC, because CGC has their own in-house pressing service as well. A lot of people don't like it very much, but it's there. If people want to use it, they can. So I said, I can send the book to them and let them do it. At least you have some recourse if it goes down. With me, there's no recourse. You're stuck. So he sent it in. It cost him $3,000 for them to assess it, press it, and regrade it, and it came back the exact same grade. So,
9.6, I would have left at that.
It was a beautiful book, but what are you gonna do? It is what it is.
Yeah. This one comes from SCB 1984. Speaking of Star Trek Picard. Dear Mr. Burnett, my name's Nigel Mayo, and I'm a fellow content creator. Firstly, I just want to thank you for giving the heads up on Picard Season 3. I might not have watched it if it weren't for you on the Critical Drinker After Hours. I would have missed out on something special. At the very least, I wouldn't have really trusted any kind of review till it was all over. So again, thank you. So the reason I'm emailing you is that I've started work on a Star Trek Picard Season 3 retrospective video. I really don't like the idea of just taking someone's footage and eventually monetizing it, so I've been sending emails to the Drinker, the Popcast guys, and others to get permission to use things like interview footage with people like Terry Metalis and Todd Stashwick, etc. So far, they've been very kind to let me have it. The way that all of this will be used is to create a documentary-style review to highlight the amazing work on Picard Season 3, to help raise the awareness of it, to send the message to Paramount that we want more of this with Terry. Well, so where do you come in? I was hoping to use some footage, unless you'd be happy to have a conversation too, from the Burnettwork to be used in the retrospective. My hope was to include some dialogue referring to the issue with Doomcock. That said, this wouldn't be an attempt to stoke the flames, as it were. It would be just to highlight that despite how great the season was, you can't make everyone happy. And it would just make light of it. That said, again, unless you'd be interested in connecting, I would share the content to you and all involved first, just to avoid anyone feeling misrepresented. You have the opportunity before anything else goes live. Like I said, the point of this hour-long and possibly more piece of content is to push something amazing with the hope of it continuing, nothing more, nothing less. Here are my two main channels. The Reviews channel is the one I'll be posting this on. Reviews with Mayo is one channel. I have another channel of another niche, if you wanted to see for reference. Salad Cream Boy Well-Being. I love that. I don't even know what that is, but Salad Cream Boy Well-Being. Hope to hear from you soon. Kind regards, Nigel Mayo, Reviews with Mayo. Well, listen, my feeling on that, Nigel, you can use anything you want. Please do. You know, it's funny. The Doomcock thing, though, is everyone thinks there's all these people that thought that I was like come over to my channel. Here's the thing. To me, Doomcock is a character. You know, and when you're talking about Doomcock, you're not talking about the person that's playing Doomcock. You're talking about the character of Doomcock that lives in the center of the world, that has a talking skull, that has Cthulhu. And so when you're calling out Doomcock, you're calling out a fictional character that somebody is playing. And people didn't understand that. They thought I was like, somebody said to me, how can you dox Doomcock? And I would write back, how can you dox somebody that lives in the center of the world? and then people were like confused by all of this. And I even think that Doomcock himself didn't understand that I was trying to play up on his persona, because I had this conversation the other night. I don't like it when Doomcock goes on live streams and talks in his normal voice. You know, he's just the guy who played, because I'm like, you can't do that. You're not Doomcock now. You're the real guy. And I won't use his name, but I was trying to appeal to Doomcock, his character. And everyone thought, they just didn't understand I was trying to be playful with it all, but, you know. So anyway, I would say to you, Nigel, go right ahead. I mean, there's been people that have never asked permission, like Film Gob, who's pretty hilarious. So I give anybody permission to, you know, don't use my voice and try and make me say things with deep fakes that I didn't say. I'm not going to ever agree to that. But hey, if you're promoting Star Trek Picard Season 3 and everything that happened, go right ahead. What do you think, Comic Doctor? Do you think that people should... I mean, the fact that he even asked, that's all I would ask. I would just ask common courtesy. It's nice that he even reached out to ask.
Of course. The YouTube's kind of like the Wild West, eh? It's everybody does their own thing, it seems sometimes. And people are grabbing things from here and taking things out of context and mixing it. But I mean, yeah, the fact that he actually reached out and asked you was polite, you know, and is the right thing to do. You know?
I think so. 100%.
As long as you're okay with it, right? As long as you're okay with it too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, because somebody asked. Okay, here's a good one. This one comes to us from Nathan Shalese. I think it's Shalese. Episode 4, seen for the first time in a theater. Dear Rob, I'm a Gen Xer of 48 years. May 4th, 2023, I had the amazing opportunity to view Star Wars Episode 4, that would be the first Star Wars, at the Tampa Theater. It's an Art Deco theater that was built in 1926. I've watched Episode 4 and the rest of the original trilogy countless times on VHS, DVD, TV, and streaming. Joy flooded through me as soon as the yellow crawl flashed on the screen with John Williams' insane orchestral score blasting through the speakers. It was an experience I will never forget. Today, May 8th, I was able to go back and see Empire. I can't believe I actually cried just for a second or so. My dear grandmother Ruth took me to see Empire, and that's a memory I deeply cherish. And next week, they'll be showing Return of the Jedi, and I will be there again. The 501st Legion showed up to mix with us in attendance, and that was the icing on the cake. In particular, watching the Star Wars universe is a great escape from the brutal realities of life. Thank you for your hard work, Nate. What a nice letter, Nate. Thank you. You know, I have to say, Star Wars was such a big part of my life because I saw it when it first came out, the Star Wars opening weekend. And I've often opined, Kevin, on the show, that Star Wars literally was a life-changing experience. I mean, it literally changed my life because there was nothing before it even remotely similar to it. And to see it, it literally changed how I imagined that something could be. I never imagined there could be anything like that at all. So it was truly magnificent. And I quite enjoyed seeing it. Did you see Star Wars when it first came out?
Yep. I tell this story often to my students when I do my film class. I saw Star Wars. I always thought I saw it in 77, but I actually saw it in 78 because my first exposure to Star Wars was Billy Taylor in our playground was playing with a Han Solo and Chewbacca action figure, Kenner action figure. And I said, "What are those?" And I was like probably in grade 1. And he's like, "Well, it's Han Solo and Chewbacca. It's Star Wars." And so my mom, when I came home, I kept yelling, "Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars." My mom said to my brother, "Take him to see Star Wars." And I think it must have been playing for almost a full year already.
It did. Yeah, it was.
Right. So that weekend, my brother took me to go see it. And again, I always thought that was 1977, but later I realized there was no toys in 1977.
No.
They didn't come out till, right. So I saw it just shortly after it came out, and it, like you, it changed my life. And I yearned to be in the movie industry because of that movie. That series. I'm being honest, and I would phone. I'm embarrassed. I would phone Lucasfilm at 11 years old. I'd phone them to try to talk to George Lucas, right? And I got as close. I think I got to his secretary once. It was crazy. I don't know what I was saying. But being up here in Canada, it wasn't easy. I mean, now there's like the movie industry is booming out here. They just built 3 sound studios about 20 minutes from here. Netflix and Amazon or whatever. But back in the late 70s, early 80s, even going in when I was in high school, there was nothing going on. So I guess my dreams of moving to Hollywood, it wasn't practical, right? I envy you a lot because all you had to do was hop in your car and drive to Los Angeles. I couldn't do that, right?
Right.
So yeah, but no, Star Wars changed. But yeah, creatively, it was just, yeah. I still get emotional watching those movies.
Yeah, I mean, it was life changing. As I've told many people over and over and over again. I saw Empire Strikes Back 26 times in the theater when it came out. It was, and I've seen it. I mean, I've watched Star Wars on bootleg videotape probably 100 times, and how I've owned it in every home video format that ever existed, and it was just, yeah. So,
and that's why I'm so sad by the turn of events that have been the last 7 or 8 years. Right? It's been awful.
Well, it's what Star Wars really needed. I mean, I understand what George Lucas was doing with the prequel trilogy. I think the story is very interesting. I just think the execution was lacking, but still interesting. And then when he sold Star Wars to Disney, I think that he thought that, I mean, I've had so many conversations about this, but he sold it to a corporation that has an agenda for everything, not just Star Wars. That's why they're remaking their own animated classics as live action movies. Mm-hmm. And it's like, to me, that's so creatively bankrupt, but I get why they're doing it.
Yeah,
Aladdin with Will Smith made $1 billion, and they're a corporation. That's what they do. They make money, and you can't begrudge a company for doing what it's supposed to do for its shareholders. As much as I would like to not see that happen, but what are you going to do? I mean, that's just the world that we live in, and you can get pissed about it, or deal with it, and I just wish. What I don't understand is, why didn't Disney open up the have a caucus or something and bring in all the filmmakers in Hollywood and have them pitch stories, or work with a group of people that, or even go back to talk about comic books. Go back to the Thrawn trilogy and the Dark Empire miniseries that came out around the same time in the early 90s that brought Star Wars back. Those were far more satisfying stories. And when Timothy Zahn wrote the Thrawn trilogy is not perfect.
It was all right. Yeah.
But you could combine it with Dark Empire, and you've got these two things. The problem is, in Hollywood, nobody would ever do that. We're not going to go look at some tie-in novel and comic book to come up with our story. And yet, you can watch what the Roddenberry Archive is doing with Otoy, these short films, Star Trek films, and it shows what's possible.
They should have just come to my shop on a Saturday morning and just listened to the guys shooting the shit about it, and they would have been fine. And that's why what's going on with the MCU now, and with Star Wars especially. Star Wars was the freaking franchise, man. It was.
Yep.
And then it's gone to me. It's gone. It's like it's a shell of what it once was, but. Why turn again? You've said this. I've heard you talk about this at length on your show, and
so many times.
And I agree everything you're saying. I was like, yes. The fans. Those are your answer is very simple. Go talk to the fans.
Well,
people who know.
I think what the biggest problem with Star Wars is no longer about anything other than itself. It's gone so far up its own ass. I mean. It used to be that, like, even what George Lucas was doing with the prequels, while I think the execution was not great because he kind of lost touch with humanity and was too enamored of his tools, but the idea of democracy dying and being replaced by a fascistic empire, that's a really interesting story.
Yeah.
And I think if he had developed that story and worked with other screenwriters to write if you had other screenwriters writing the scripts for those movies, you have the same plot points and the same story could have been told, but written by people that were more in touch with mankind themselves. think
while all that was going on, what you're talking about, a friendship falling apart or a love triangle that could have been there that never was there that should have been there. I mean, to me that was a logical thing. He'd be jealous of Kenobi because there's perhaps,
there's I mean and it's just but interesting.
Yeah.
SmokeyVandross. Oh, he retracted his message. Well, I'm sorry about that, Smokey. I thought that was a good question. Dan Candy sends in a super chat and says, as a child, I purchased a back issue of Teenage Mutant TNTT.
The new Teen Titans.
The new Teen Titans. Yeah, one of my favorite.
Right?
It is.
Yeah, George Perez. Yeah.
When I got home, I discovered 2 autographs on the interior page by George Perez and Marv Wolfman. How do I verify their authenticity? That's a good question.
I can tell you right now, they're authentic.
Without
even looking at. Oh yeah, come on now. It's from that time period. It's 100%. It's on the inside cover too. That's how they used to do it. The only place you can go to verify that right now would be a company called CBCS. Now that's CGC's, I guess you could say, their main competitor, but they do have a service where they do signature authentication. You have 2 signatures on there, so it'll cost you, I think it was $25 or $30 US per signature, but they can verify that. They'll put it in their own proprietary slab. You'll get a red label and it will say it's, authenticated. That's the only way to do that. But yeah, when I see old Jack Kirby ones on there and old Stan Lee ones on there, yeah, they're
because they're okay. That's good.
Yeah, from that time period, yeah, they're mostly real.
Well, listen, Kevin, I have to end this stream because RM is going to have her show starting at 7:00, and of course we're back here for Midnight Musings.
It never ends with you.
It just never ends. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. Where can people find you online? You have your own YouTube channel?
I have my own YouTube channel. Let's look up the Comic Doctor. I'm at around just under 2,100 subscribers now. I do usually weekly unboxings. As these books come back from CGC, I usually unbox them. Although lately I've been having a string of bad luck with lots of damaged slabs. I've been going right back to CGC, so I haven't had as many shows, but I'll be back on pretty soon. And that's where you'll find me most active, again, on YouTube, mostly.
All right. And can people find, do you have a website or anything?
Oh yeah, comicdoctor.com. You can go there. I have all kinds of information about the service. If you have comic books and you need advice or you want to have your books graded, and again you need advice regarding that as well, yeah, by all means, give me a holler. If you're American, I have a 1-800-188 number there you can use to call me if you'd like. And a lot of American clients and Canadian clients as well. And and I'm also on Instagram too. If you want to check out my actual work, you can go there. It's just at Comic Doc.
Nice.
Instagram. Yeah.
Well, Comic Doc, Kevin, it's always great to have you. We should do this more often. This was a really fun stream.
Well, I do have a set of Secret Invasion I might give away. The whole actual set when that show comes in, if you want to.
Oh, that would be fun because I have to tell you, I read the scripts. I am really looking forward to it.
Well, let's hope.
Really, it looks great. Looks great. Well,
All
Kevin,
right.
the Comic Doctor, thanks for being here, and I want to thank everybody for watching this stream. I know it's a Friday night, but we're going to have our Midnight Musing stream later. RM is coming up on the channel, and I love the fact it's like a network. 3 shows. I did a show where it's truly, and we've got Lana Ewan reviews, and her husband Alan have been killing it. They did their Battle Royale review. I think they're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre this week. That's dropping.
Very slick production too there.
So cool. We're going to have some a member call tomorrow. I have some people coming to pick up puppies, so I don't know when. Hopefully we'll do it at 11. And by the way, we have 4 puppies left. If you want to get a puppy for Mother's Day, our puppies, man, there are no better puppies in the world. They're the sweetest. They've been socialized around big dogs and people. They're expensive, I'll tell you that, but they are worth it. Get your mom a puppy for Mother's Day. I'll tell you, look at the Instagram. It is Gilbert_and_Tallulah on Instagram, but I warn you, cuteness overload, you might go into a anaphylactic or diabetic seizure or shock, whatever that is. So check that out. And remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. And join me this weekend. It's Mother's Day, but it's my birthday weekend, so hey, if you want to yell at me or tell me I'm great, you can do both, and it's fun. or either, or neither, or something else. Talk about hot toys. We're going to have a great time this weekend, and thanks for being here. And stay tuned on this channel for You Know Her, You Love Her. She's